Across the UK, millions of people woke up without the jobs they thought were safe. Offices downsized, stores closed, contracts vanished, and roles disappeared without warning. This is not a temporary dip or a single industry problem. It is a structural shift, changing how work exists, who gets hired, and who gets left behind. Many affected did everything right and still lost their income. The real question is not why jobs are disappearing, but how many more are at risk next. If your work depends on stability, systems, or assumptions about security, this matters more than you think. Number 1. Automation and AI job replacement. Automation and AI job replacement has accelerated across the UK as businesses adopt technology to cut costs and increase speed. Tasks once handled by people are now performed by software, algorithms, and machines that work continuously without wages or breaks. Roles in administration, retail, logistics, and customer service have been hit hardest. Employers are not replacing workers who leave, choosing automation instead. This creates job losses without announcements, making the impact feel sudden for workers who believed their roles were secure. AI adoption is driven by measurable productivity gains, backed by economic research showing automation boosts output while reducing labor costs. Companies facing shrinking margins view technology as protection against uncertainty. Self-service checkouts, chatbots, automated scheduling, and predictive software reduce staffing needs across sectors. Workers are often told technology will assist them, yet assistance frequently becomes replacement. Once systems are trained, redundancies follow quietly. This pattern explains why layoffs appear disconnected from performance or demand, leaving capable employees suddenly without income. Adapting requires acknowledging that automation-driven losses are structural, not temporary. Workers benefit from focusing on skills technology cannot easily replicate, such as problem-solving, coordination, and creative judgment. Short courses in digital literacy, data handling, or system oversight can improve resilience. Monitoring industry changes helps anticipate risk before roles disappear. Automation is reshaping work quietly, not as a future threat, but a present reality. Those who respond early have more options, while delayed awareness often leads to sudden unemployment with limited time to adjust financially or professionally. Communities, employers, and policymakers must recognize this shift to prevent long-term exclusion and support smoother transitions for displaced workers through training access, income stability, and realistic career planning initiatives. Number 2. Corporate cost cutting after economic slowdown. Corporate cost cutting after economic slowdown has become a major driver of job losses across the UK. When consumer spending weakens, businesses respond by protecting cash rather than expanding teams. Hiring freezes are often the first step, followed by restructures that remove entire departments. Companies focus on preserving margins to satisfy investors and lenders. Even profitable firms reduce staff to prepare for uncertainty. Meaning layoffs are no longer a sign of failure, but a defensive strategy built into modern corporate planning. Economic research shows companies prioritize short-term balance sheet strength during slowdowns. Reducing payroll is one of the fastest ways to lower operating costs. This approach spreads quickly across industries as competitors follow similar strategies to avoid appearing inefficient. Middle management, support functions, and project-based roles are usually targeted first. Workers often receive little warning because decisions are made at board level and executed rapidly. Once cost-cutting cycles begin, rehiring rarely matches the pace of job losses. Workers can reduce risk by understanding early warning signs, budget freezes, canceled projects, and reduced overtime often signal upcoming cuts. Keeping skills current, documenting achievements, and maintaining professional networks increases mobility. Exploring alternative income streams can provide short-term protection, Cost-cutting driven layoffs are not personal judgments, but financial calculations. Recognizing this helps workers act earlier rather than internalize blame. As economic uncertainty continues, resilience depends on adaptability, planning, and awareness of how corporate behavior shifts during downturns that prioritize survival over stability for employees across sectors nationwide. Proactive financial planning, emergency savings, and regular career reviews provide buffers when decisions happen suddenly, allowing workers to respond strategically, rather than react under pressure during unstable economic cycles nationwide today. Number 3. Public sector job reductions. Public sector job reductions are accelerating as government budgets tighten across the UK. Councils, health services, and education bodies face rising costs with limited funding increases. Staffing is often the largest controllable expense, making job cuts an immediate option. Roles in administration, support services, and non-statutory programs are most exposed. These reductions rarely appear dramatic at first, but cumulative losses across departments result in thousands of positions disappearing quietly, affecting communities that depend heavily on public employment for stability. Research on public finance shows austerity-style measures reduce employment faster than demand for services. Workloads increase while teams shrink, leading to burnout and further resignations. Outsourcing becomes a preferred solution, replacing permanent roles with short-term contracts that offer less security. Workers are told services will be maintained, yet fewer staff are expected to deliver the same outcomes. This cycle pushes experienced employees out and discourages new entrants, weakening long-term capacity and career prospects within public institutions. Adapting to public sector reductions requires early planning. Workers benefit from tracking funding announcements, restructuring consultations, and internal reviews. Expanding transferable skills, such as project management or data analysis, improves mobility into other sectors. Keeping records of experience supports transitions if redeployment options arise. Public sector jobs were once seen as secure, but stability is no longer guaranteed. Understanding this shift allows workers to prepare rather than react. Without preparation, sudden cuts can disrupt income, pensions, and long-term plans, particularly in regions where public employment dominates local economies and alternatives are limited for displaced workers. Support networks, unions, and retraining grants can soften impacts when accessed early, helping workers navigate change, protect well-being, and plan realistic career transitions nationwide today. Number 4. Collapse of certain retail and high street sectors. Collapse of certain retail and high street sectors continues to drive large-scale job losses across the UK. Traditional shops face falling footfall as consumers shift spending online and cut back during economic pressure. Rising rents, energy bills, and business rates have made physical stores unsustainable. When chains close branches, entire local teams disappear at once, leaving few alternative employers nearby. Research into retail economics shows online models require far fewer workers per sale than physical stores. Automation in stock control and self-checkout systems further reduces staffing needs. Retail jobs often support young workers and part-time staff, so closures hit vulnerable groups hardest. Towns built around high streets lose income circulation, accelerating decline and pushing more businesses to shut down. Workers can reduce exposure by watching early signals such as reduced opening hours, empty units, or repeated discounting. Building skills suited to growth areas, like logistics, digital sales, or customer experience, improves prospects. Retail decline is structural, not cyclical. Understanding this allows workers to plan transitions sooner. Without preparation, store closures translate into sudden unemployment, reduced local opportunities, and long-term income instability for communities across the country. Local authorities, landlords, and suppliers also feel effects as vacancies rise and spending falls. Regeneration plans often lag behind closures, creating long gaps in employment recovery. For many workers, retail was an entry point into work. Losing these roles reduces pathways for experience, training, and stability, increasing inequality and pressure on welfare systems and informal economies over time. Without targeted retraining and investment, high street collapse will continue reshaping employment patterns and regional resilience for years ahead, leaving lasting social and economic consequences nationwide for future generations too across Britain. Number 5. Zero-hour and temporary contracts ending. Zero-hour and temporary contracts are often the first to disappear during job downturns. Employers use flexible contracts to scale staffing up and down quickly, making these workers the easiest to remove. When costs rise or demand falls, shifts are canceled rather than roles made redundant. This leaves workers without notice, pay protection, or access to redundancy support. Many people depend on these contracts for main income, not side work, making sudden cancellations financially devastating. Research into labor markets shows insecure work spreads risk from businesses onto individuals. Zero-hour workers experience income volatility, stress, and limited ability to plan. Because hours are not guaranteed, lenders, landlords, and benefit systems treat these workers as unstable. During slowdowns, employers reduce variable labor first, meaning entire workforces can vanish overnight without formal layoffs, consultations, or legal processes protecting employees. Reducing exposure requires moving away from total reliance on insecure contracts. Workers benefit from diversifying income, building savings, and seeking roles with guaranteed hours where possible. Tracking hours, payslips, and communications helps challenge errors. Upskilling into areas with stronger demand increases stability. Zero-hour work offers flexibility, but during economic stress, it transfers risk downward, turning flexibility into sudden unemployment with little warning or support for affected households. Many workers remain unaware of their rights, assume hours will return, and delay planning until savings are gone. Early action matters. Reviewing contracts, exploring training schemes, and registering with recruiters creates options. Waiting for shifts to resume often leads to debt, benefit delays, and housing pressure, amplifying the impact of contract loss beyond employment into wider life stability. This pressure affects families, health, confidence, and long-term earning potential across generations and communities nationwide today. Number 6. Small business closures. Small business closures are a major contributor to job losses across the UK. Independent shops, cafes, trades, and service firms operate on tight margins and absorb shocks first. Rising rent, energy costs, taxes, and supply prices have pushed many beyond sustainability. Unlike large corporations, small businesses lack reserves and bargaining power. When costs rise faster than income, owners are forced to close quickly. Each closure may appear small, but together they remove thousands of local jobs in a short time. Economic studies show small businesses employ a significant share of the workforce, especially outside major cities. When they close, jobs rarely transfer elsewhere. Staff often have specialized local roles that do not exist in nearby firms. Closures also reduce local spending, creating a ripple effect that harms surrounding businesses. This leads to clustered shutdowns rather than isolated failures. Workers face fewer alternatives, longer unemployment periods, and pressure to relocate or accept lower-paid work. Reducing risk requires early awareness and adaptability. Workers benefit from monitoring business health signals, such as delayed wages, reduced hours, or supplier issues. Building transferable skills improves mobility if closure occurs. Emergency savings provide critical buffer time. Small business job losses are structural, driven by cost pressures rather than performance. Recognizing this helps workers plan exits before closure announcements. Without preparation, closures lead to sudden unemployment with limited support. Communities lose services, training pathways, and economic diversity. As small businesses disappear, employment concentrates in fewer sectors, reducing resilience. Supporting transitions through retraining, mobility grants, and local investment remains essential to prevent long-term unemployment and economic hollowing in towns and regions nationwide today. Number 7. Outsourcing and offshoring. Outsourcing and offshoring continue to eliminate UK-based jobs as companies move roles to lower-cost countries. Advances in remote work technology allow businesses to relocate customer support, IT services, accounting, and back-office functions with little disruption. Employers frame these decisions as efficiency measures, but the result is permanent job loss for domestic workers. Once roles move abroad, they rarely return, even if conditions improve locally. This shift affects private companies and public contractors alike across multiple industries. Research on global labor markets shows outsourcing accelerates during periods of uncertainty. Companies seek predictable costs in larger labor pools, while reducing long-term obligations. Digital platforms make coordination across time zones easier, lowering the value of physical presence. Workers are sometimes asked to train overseas replacements before roles are cut, removing chances for redeployment. These decisions are strategic, not temporary, meaning layoffs happen even when firms remain profitable and demand is stable. Reducing exposure requires anticipating which roles are vulnerable and adapting early. Jobs based on routine processes are easier to relocate than those requiring local knowledge, regulation awareness, or in-person coordination. Developing skills in oversight, compliance, client relationships, or system integration increases resilience. Monitoring internal restructuring signals helps timing decisions. Outsourcing-driven losses are difficult to reverse, but preparation expands options. Without planning, workers face sudden displacement, weaker bargaining power, and competition in shrinking domestic markets where similar roles are disappearing simultaneously across multiple sectors nationwide during economic transitions. Restructuring cycles, policy shifts, technological change, long-term employment realignment pressures, global cost-driven competition, sustained wage suppression risks, declining bargaining leverage, reduced domestic job creation, and long-lasting income instability nationwide today permanently. Number 8. Industry-specific regulation changes. Industry-specific regulation changes are causing job losses as new rules increase operating costs and complexity. Sectors such as construction, transport, care, and energy face tighter compliance, reporting duties, and licensing standards. Smaller firms struggle to adapt quickly, leading to downsizing or closure. Workers are laid off not because demand disappears, but because meeting new requirements becomes unaffordable. Regulation aims to improve safety and standards, yet the employment impact is often overlooked during rapid rollout periods. Studies on regulatory economics show compliance costs fall unevenly across businesses. Large firms absorb expenses, while smaller employers reduce staff to survive. Training, requirements, certification renewals, and inspections add time and expense. Some roles become redundant as processes change or projects pause. Workers with niche experience may find skills suddenly outdated. This creates displacement even in sectors with long-term demand, producing short-term unemployment spikes tied directly to policy shifts rather than market failure. Reducing risk means staying informed about regulatory timelines and retraining options. Workers benefit from updating certifications early and diversifying skills across related roles. Employers often signal changes before layoffs occur. Seeking guidance from unions or professional bodies helps anticipate impact. Regulation-driven job loss feels unexpected because it follows legal change, not decline. Preparing early allows smoother transitions. Without preparation, workers face sudden unemployment caused by rules designed for improvement, but implemented faster than labor markets can adjust, leaving gaps between compliance goals and workforce stability nationwide. Targeted reskilling funds, phased enforcement, and clear communication could reduce disruption, but without them workers absorb costs, uncertainty, and income loss alone across regions already facing limited alternative employment opportunities today during ongoing economic transitions nationwide. Number 9. Skills mismatch and training gaps. Skills mismatch and training gaps are driving job losses even where vacancies exist across the UK economy. Technology, regulation, and business models are changing faster than workforce training systems can respond. Workers are laid off from declining roles, while employers struggle to fill new positions requiring different capabilities. This creates the illusion of opportunity alongside unemployment. People are told jobs are available, yet lack access to affordable retraining. The result is displacement, not from lack of work, but from misalignment between existing skills and emerging labor demand within modern industries nationwide today and sectors. Research on labor transitions shows workers without recent training remain unemployed longer after redundancy. Mid-career employees are most affected because retraining often requires time and money they lack. Public programs exist, but are limited, oversubscribed, or poorly aligned with employer needs. Meanwhile, businesses adopt new tools assuming talent will appear. This gap leaves capable people sidelined while productivity demands rise. Without coordinated reskilling, layoffs continue even during hiring cycles, deepening frustration and reducing confidence across affected communities during prolonged transitions and uneven regional labor market recoveries nationwide affecting families, incomes, stability, futures. Reducing exposure means treating skills as moving assets rather than fixed identities. Workers benefit from continuous learning, short certifications, and cross-sector experience. Monitoring job adverts reveals where demand is shifting before redundancies hit. Using redundancy periods for funded training improves outcomes. Skills mismatch is not personal failure, but system lag. Those who adapt early regain stability faster, while delays narrow options. Long-term employment security now depends on adaptability, access to training, and timely support aligned with real market needs during ongoing technological change, restructuring, uncertainty, and workforce transitions nationwide today, broadly. Number 10. Political and policy uncertainty. Political and policy uncertainty plays a significant role in large-scale job losses across the UK. When governments signal major changes around taxes, trade, regulation, or spending, businesses hesitate. Investment is delayed, expansion plans are paused, and hiring slows. Employers prioritize flexibility over growth, often reducing staff to manage risk. Even rumors of reform can affect decisions. Workers feel the impact before policies are finalized, as uncertainty alone is enough to freeze job creation and trigger layoffs. Economic studies show uncertainty reduces business confidence more than moderate downturns. Companies struggle to plan when rules may change suddenly. Election cycles, leadership changes, and major legislative reforms amplify this effect. Firms delay long-term contracts and cut roles seen as non-essential. Temporary roles are dropped first, followed by permanent positions. Workers experience job loss, not because demand has collapsed, but because employers cannot predict future costs, obligations, or market access with confidence. Reducing exposure means understanding how uncertainty shapes employer behavior. Workers benefit from monitoring policy debates affecting their sector and preparing early. Building adaptable skills and maintaining professional networks increases mobility when hiring slows. Financial planning becomes crucial during uncertain periods, as transitions may take longer. Political uncertainty does not last forever, but its employment effects can be immediate and uneven. Those prepared for pauses in hiring and sudden restructuring are better positioned to respond. Awareness turns unpredictability into manageable risk, allowing individuals to plan rather than react while policy environments stabilize and confidence slowly returns across industries nationwide. Job losses across the UK are not happening for one single reason. They are the result of technology, cost pressure, policy shifts, and structural change colliding at the same time. The reasons covered show how employment security has weakened even in roles once seen as stable. What makes this period different is speed. Decisions are happening faster than workers can react, leaving little time to adjust when roles disappear. Understanding why jobs are lost matters as much as finding the next one. Awareness allows earlier planning, better retraining choices, and realistic expectations about which sectors are shrinking or growing. Job loss is no longer a personal failure, but a systemic outcome shaped by forces beyond individual control. Preparation now means adaptability, continuous learning, and financial caution. If this breakdown helped you understand what is happening beneath the headlines, support the channel by liking the video and subscribing for more clear, practical analysis. Share your experience or thoughts in the comments so others can learn from them. Watch the related videos on retraining, income protection, and future work trends to stay ahead. Staying informed does not stop change, but it gives you the tools to respond with clarity rather than panic.